What's going on, guys? So I'm in the middle of switching my studio again to a different location, but in the meantime I wanted to kind of show you guys a product that I'm getting ready to install on my guitar, and this thing is called the String Butler. And if you guys haven't heard about it, there's a few videos out about it right now, but I wanted to go ahead and make one myself because I'm pretty excited about this. So if you guys haven't seen it before, it's a pretty cool guitar modification that you add onto your guitar. You just bolt it underneath the hardware that your guitar was given. So you don't have to make any holes or adjustments or any type of craziness. It just adds right in simply. So the one I have here for my two guitars is the version 3 Stealth one. And it's the post spacing is for a minimum of 35 millimeter to a maximum of 58. And so between my Dean and my LTD and the Epiphone, I can switch them around if I want to. But out of the three, I thought the Les Paul Custom Series was the most prominent guitar headstock bend. And not only that, but the peg spacings were pretty dramatic on my D and G string for this particular guitar. So we're gonna go ahead and install it in this one. But before we do, if you guys haven't heard about this, what it does is it's a design attached to the headstock, dramatically improves tuning stability, and guides guitars rectangular with a 3 left and a 3 right type of guitar. Matter of fact, it just came out with another model that is 3 and 4. And the idea behind it is the angle of the strings as they pass the nuts is eliminated, so it extends the straightened part of the strings past the guitar nut and nicely diverts the strings to the guitar pegs. And so what that does is on your D and G strings, it allows that more of a stable tuning instead of that creak that most people get. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to the installation of this video, and then come next week, I'll be using the same guitar, and I'm really excited to see what the difference is on the intonation, because on 2 of my guitar saddles, I have them pretty much maxed out, and I'm looking at about 2 to 3 cents off of the 440 pitch that I'm looking at. So let's cut to that, and then we'll talk about how to get it done. So as we can see here, this is what we're trying to alleviate, the tension in the strings. And so the D and the G string have a significant little bend right here on the nut, and that causes a friction. And even with this being a graphite nut that I replaced, it still adds a bit of friction because of that bend. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off these 2 nuts, install this into it, right? And we're not too worried about these out-tuned strings, the low and the high E string, because those are fairly straight. What this is going to do is it's going to elongate these strings nice and straight through these posts, or around this post rather, and affect how these 4 pegs, the strings on these 4 pegs, are being pulled. So let's cut to that. So the company suggests that you guys go ahead and use new strings. I'm going to try to reuse these. I just put these on, and this was before I bought the guitar strings or the guitar string butler. We're gonna go ahead and loosen these up. These nuts are a 10 millimeter socket, and so we're gonna take these off and get those washers down. All right, so we've taken off the golden posts and the head for the screw. They also give you these washers that you're gonna put down first and then put down the string butler, and that prevents the metal scratching up your finish. So we're gonna put these on, put the string butler down, and then I loosened these strings already, so we're gonna put this into play. And then what we're going to do is I'm not going to tighten these nuts until the strings are even up with the string butler, and then we'll tighten these down. All right, so another in-between shot. This is before I tighten everything down, but I wanted to capture what the post side view would look like. And we can see that there's a lot less tension into the guitar nut. And most importantly, let's look at another side view again here. This is the front view that is now dramatically different than once we started this video at. So we're going to have less wear on the inside of this guitar nut. The strings are coming off of the nut, and on these posts, if you can think of pretty much like a very small wedding ring with a groove in the inside of it. And that's what these strings are riding on. And if you can see right here, that's what we're looking at. And so these strings go on the outside, and they ride on this post that go up and down, and they do you know, counterclockwise and clockwise, however it needs to. So we're looking at a movable surface that is much different than the guitar nut. And this is a graphite guitar nut, and even though it is a really good one, there is tension in it. And so now we have dramatically different tension into this guitar. So let's quickly go over the saddle. And this is how the intonation is currently set. And I don't know about you guys, but some of these I've already flipped around just so I get an extra, you know, 1/8 inch, another 1/16 of an inch out for intonation. So with all this in play, I have the strings tension. I'm gonna get the strings tightened up to pitch. That'll solidify where this is gonna be sitting at for even, and then we're gonna tighten that down. All right, guys. So I was able to get this rewrapped around. Not impossible. And this is what the Guitar Butler looks like when it's solidified. It's centered. It's tightened up, and those nuts are tightened up. I know the question I was having was the height of this String Butler. How much is it going to interfere with the hole for the string? And the truth is, if you are used to doing more than 3 string wraps at most, you're going to have to limit the excess amount of string on the guitar. If you're used to doing 2 at max, you're fine. That's more than enough room to wrap around for an E string. And I normally only do about 2, 3 ever at most on the post. But yeah, it flows just fine. And I'm really excited to start playing with this. It looks pretty cool.